Hi, I'm Kristóf Takácsi, and this August I have made my first ever hike and fly paragliding trip. Here's how it went. With public transport, I went from Budapest, Hungary to Feuerbach, Austria. So I arrived to Feuerbach by train and I start my hike and fly adventure. Basically, today's task is to get some more food. I need some food for the night and for tomorrow, and find a place to sleep. Other than that, there's nothing to do, just to get closer to the rocks. I think I will go up halfway up the mountain until it gets dark, then set up my hammock there and sleep. Yeah, that plan kinda fell through because the store in Reichenau closed by the time I arrived there. So I found a place to stay for the night in the forest. At first it was hard to fall asleep, but I managed to sleep around 5.5 hours. So I started this morning at 7:15 from the village of Reichenau, because the store was opening at that time, and yesterday I wasn't able to get any food, and because I was too late, the store closed before me. So now it's 10:50 and I'm like 20 minutes away from the rocks takeoff. So it took a longer time to come up here than I expected because it's really warm and I'm not used to carry like 7 kilograms more gear to make hike and fly possible. So some people are already in the air as I see it from here. I will continue. See you at the top. So the first 2 hours of the flight were just epic. Cloud base was at 2600 at 11. It was constantly rising throughout the day. Flown quite a nice average speed until Hochschwab, even though there were 2 places where I got stuck a bit. Here I almost bombed out at the highland because I overestimated my glide ratio, but after some struggle I was able to climb back to base. After a long glide over Eisenerz, I had quite a hard time finding the thermals to get to the Paltental, and by that time I started to feel the consequences of not eating properly during the flight. I tried to topland at Leobner to reassess my situation, but the conditions were so active after 2 tries I bailed on that idea. I continued my flight towards Liezen, and in the next thermal I reached 3000 meter height over sea level, the first time in my life on a paraglider, but since I got really tired and my head started to hurt big time, I wasn't able to enjoy the moment. I knew I had scarce food resources, so I decided that I will land in the valley, but by the time I would have been able to get to the shop, it closed. I was really angry at myself and even contemplated aborting the whole project, but after a lot of thinking, I decided to carry on. I checked the forecast at least 100 times, ate all the food that was left, and got to a conclusion that even though the next day there was gonna be epic flight conditions, I will just rest and get in position that will predestinate me for a nice flight the next day. I got my shit together, went to the woods, set up my camp, and went to sleep quite disappointed. So, today I slept a little bit more, washed my stuff, and actually drying my stuff took a bit longer than I expected, but it was okay since I had all day to do stuff. After that, I went to the closest petrol station, but it was not the petrol station when I could get food. But next to it, there was a pizzeria, and I took a really nice pizza. It had everything. I was so happy. Then I went to hitchhike because I was like 40 kilometers away from the nearest good start place, Stoderzinken. So I hitchhiked to Gröbmin, where I was able to get some food at the local petrol station. The guy who picked me up from Lietzen, he took a detour, so thanks, man. You know who you are. You made my life much easier by helping me. So yeah, after the petrol station, at around a bit after 3, I started to hike up the mountain, and with a lot of stops because down in the valley it was more than 30 degrees. I made it up. Now it's like 8 o'clock and I'm at 1600, and I'm still like 450 meters lower than takeoff, but in the morning I wake up because of the sun at around 6 anyways, and the day will not be good before 9, so I will just wake up and woke up the remaining 400. This way I am not gonna be that tired like yesterday. So right now I'm in my hammock. This is my camping spot. It's really fucking cool. And basically I'm waiting to get dark and to sleep. I have decent amount of food. There is one spring like 30 meters from here. Actually, the one water source that leads to the spring is right next to my camping spot, and just when I found it, I stepped into it, and one of my shoes are soaking wet, but I hope it will dry until I reach the top of the mountain. So tomorrow I will fly from Stoderzinken. I think it's gonna be a really good day. So I hope I can reach Innsbruck We will see. I woke up at dawn, filled up my water at the spring and started climbing the mountain. I chose to hike on the tarmac road because it wasn't as steep as the trails, and in that way I was able to keep up a good pace. I reached the start place a bit after 8 and there were already a couple of local pilots there, foreshadowing that this could be a really good day. I took off at 10 o'clock, around 20 minutes later than the first pilots, because I had only basic local knowledge and I didn't want it to risk an early bomb out. Getting over launch height was not easy, but after 15 minutes with a couple of other pilots we were able to get like 150 meters above and started to glide to the next trigger. The thermals were just waking up from their sleep until 11 when I got my first decent climb over the eastern part of Dachstein. As I wasn't the quickest from the group that I went with, I never had to guess where the next climb will be, so the next part, where there were no high ridges, was much easier than I expected because in front of me the thermals were quite visualized. I thought reaching the Pinzgau Valley would be the hardest part and after that it will be easier, but it was the other way around. Reaching Zell am See, the northern wind picked up and with that the climbs became punchier and there were turbulences in areas where I didn't expect them. Even with these rough conditions, the northern chain of the Alps looked amazing. I don't really have the vocabulary to describe it. Hill, I was flying more or less together with Simon Oberrauner, who helped me a lot to find lifts in the lee side in places I wouldn't have thought it was possible. Flying over the Gerlos Pass wasn't easy, as cloud cover was around 70% and I was still in the lee side, but with the help of some sparrows, I was able to glide until the Kreuzjoch. Here, I was able to climb up to 3,200 meters, which offered some spectacular views. In the west, there were building thunderstorms, so I decided to glide out in the Zillertal to end my journey at the side of the Innsbruck airspace. I landed at Jenbach, as the crow flies, 310 kilometers away from Payerbach, where I started 3 days before. I could have continued my adventure, but the weather didn't look that promising for the upcoming days and I was exhausted. All in all, I had excellent weather during my first hike and fly trip and I reached my goal to get to Innsbruck. Until there, I had some options mapped out in my head, which routes to take and what to do, but after that, it would have been quite a roll of the dice. Even the planned part came with a lot of surprises and problems to solve, so I made the sensible decision to finish here. So what did I learn? I am not fit enough. I have to be able to climb at least 2000 meter height difference a day to be at the right pace at the right time to take off. Nutrition is even more important than I thought. I made some decisions that it cost me some avoidable kilometers to walk because of not eating properly. I need to manage my camera batteries better. I need to plan forward more, mostly where to get supplies and finding the takeoff for the next day. I need to fly more in the Alps because it is absolutely amazing.